We are committed to growing the conference's footprint in a variety of ways, and we want... What's up, everybody? It's Trey Smith with College Game Time, back with another College Game Time video here on the YouTube channel. Today, I'm talking about some news released by the Big 12 Conference regarding their Rucker Park Initiative, why it's significant, how it could impact the conference's expansion, particularly into the Northeast, and how it continues to play to the agenda that the Big 12 is obviously on a mission to become the go-to basketball conference in America. But before we get into it, you know what to do. Hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment at the end, share it with a friend. And if you're feeling extra generous, go ahead and leave me a super thanks. If not, no worries at all. But if you do, your generosity is very much appreciated. All right, let's get into this. So the Rucker Park Initiative in the Big 12. So this was announced back in March, I believe, right around the Sweet 16 time frame. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, I'll give you a quick synopsis. But the Big 12 formed a partnership with Rucker Park up in infamous New York, the most legendary street ball court around. You have NBA players going there every summer. It really is just a foundational pillar in the basketball world. And there are definitely some ties with NBA players in Rucker Park and having some legendary, iconic type moments. The And One street ball tour, just so many different things could be tied back to Rucker Park. Earl Manigault, the GOAT. I remember the movie Rebound and just the Rucker Park. There's such a deep history, and it's so threaded into the history in the game of basketball altogether. And now the Big 12 is forming a partnership with them, or they did. And basically what it is the Big 12 will operate youth clinics at Rucker Park for local youth in grades 6 and below. The clinics will be held across multiple days and will be led by head coaches from both the men's and women's Big 12 basketball programs. That's what was announced today, is which coaches are actually going. And I'm going to share a couple of them with you and tell you why I think the Big 12 got it right with who they're sending. And it says, additionally, the Big 12 Conference will host men's and women's summer exhibition games at Rucker Park. That may not be till next summer. That is pending NCAA approval. But wow, what a way to establish a presence in the Northeast, especially on the basketball side of things, than by having this partnership with Rucker Park and even showcasing exhibition games. So not only are you doing community outreach and having free camps and clinics for kids, but you're also showcasing exhibition games. Not sure what that'll look like, not sure who that will include. Well, I'll probably have to wait till next year for that piece, but man, especially with the recent links to a school like UConn and trying to possibly get them into the Big 12. And of course, there's some other Big East schools that the Big 12 might have its sights set on to boost that basketball element in the conference. But here's what I'm excited about is the news that was released today. And I'm going to put it up on the screen here, but they announced the coaches that are going to be going. And as you can see, Scott Drew, Mark Pope, Wes Miller, Jerome Tang, Mike Boynton, Jamie Dixon, Amber Whiting, Katrina Merriweather, Ron Huey, Jeff Mitty, and Krista Gerlich. And the three I want to talk about here specifically are Mike Boynton, Jerome Tang, and Jamie Dixon. Okay, first and foremost, before I even talk about these three coaches and why they're significant to this initiative, is I have to say this. This is a situation where the Big 12 could completely swing and miss if they don't do it right. What do I mean by that? You could do this and get that outward-facing publicity and completely miss the inward-facing community connection. And if you don't connect with the community on an initiative like this, it's not going to last. And if the Big 12 really wants to start to establish some roots in the Northeast, I can't think of a better place to start than Rucker Park. And I can't think of a better trio of coaches to be a part of this first launch. First, let's start with Mike Boynton. He was born and raised in Brooklyn. I can't think of a better person to go up and know the landscape, understand the people, understand the culture, understand exactly what they're stepping into, and also be able to educate his fellow coaches that he's accompanying. Then you have Jerome Tang. Half of his rotation that he just took to the Elite Eight is from New York. So there's certainly some knowledge and connection there that he's going to be able to draw on as he goes into this trip. And then, of course, you have Jamie Dixon, who spent 15, 16 years at Pitt when they were in the Big East, both as an assistant and as a head coach. And so he recruited and coached a lot of players from New York, New Jersey, and that whole little area right there in that pocket in the Northeast. And so, like I said, you could really screw something like this up if you just go and you do it for the publicity, you do it for the PR, and you completely miss it with the community. But in this case, they're sending the right group of coaches. They're sending the right people to go up and not just do the outward-facing stuff, not just do the stuff that's going to win over the public, but they're doing the stuff that's going to win over the community. And when you can combine good publicity with good substance, that's when you can establish something that is sustainable and something that I think will have a long-term benefit on the conference at large. In fact, going back to that announcement, that original press release, Brett Yourmark said, Rucker Park is one of the great landmarks in basketball and is a cultural icon. We are excited to be able to bring Big 12 basketball to its court. We are committed to growing the conference's footprint in a variety of ways, and we want kids across New York City to experience Big 12 basketball firsthand. Man, they really seem to be onto something here. They really seem to be committed to establishing a presence and a brand in this region, which is what I believe the Big 12 is committed to doing, obviously, with how they're doing this. And in overall, the last thing I'll say specifically about this initiative and the way they're launching and rolling it out is that they've done a great job of blending publicity and substance. And really, it reminds me of what Pete Carroll did at USC. I know this might be an odd parallel, but the Big 12 trying to break into the Northeast region reminds me of how Pete Carroll broke into Southern California. Okay, keep in mind, I think Pete Carroll was coming off being with the Patriots prior to taking the USC job. And what we all remember is obviously he built those dominant teams, but we also remember the publicity he generated by how he embraced the Hollywood element that surrounded USC. He brought in Snoop Dogg to come rap and talk to the team. You'd see Snoop randomly at practices. He brought in Will Ferrell. He was having these skits done at practice before and after. And I remember there was one, Captain Compete, if some of you remember that. And they got all over ESPN, all over the national news, all over the national media. And that's what we remember was his Hollywood embrace when he was at USC. That was that outward-facing publicity. But what Pete Carroll also embraced was the inward-facing community. There would be times, I think 2 or 3 times a week, the LA Times did a report on this in, I think, 2008, where throughout his tenure at USC, he'd take a couple of days a week. He had a few ex-gang members that he had befriended to learn about the surrounding community that was foreign to him. And as he learned about it and as he got to know the lay of the land, he would just go to those areas and spend time once or twice, 2 or 3 times a week. Excuse me. And he wasn't recruiting. He wasn't on duty. He was just talking and connecting and building a rapport with the people of the community. Everything from local families to gang members to homeless people, you name it. He would just go have discussions on street corners. Here he is, this multi-million-dollar football coach at the peak of his career, going into areas just talking to people that for no other motivation other than to become engrafted into the community and have a connection with the community. And from there, he started a nonprofit called A Better LA. And that nonprofit had so much success because it wasn't just a PR stunt, but there was an actual substance behind it that he was doing week in and week out, getting to know the heart of the community. And that's what I believe the Big 12 is doing with this initiative, is they're not just going in trying to slap their logo on a region that they're not known in or do some big publicity stunt that they can show everyone else. I think they're doing that, But with it, there's a substance where they're actually launching it out in a way intelligently and wisely, where they're sending the right people who are going to truly have a connection with the community, so that ultimately this Rucker Park Initiative gets some legs underneath it. It's sustainable. It becomes a pillar of the Rucker Park community. And the next thing you know, the Big 12 starts to become a recognizable brand in a region that a few years ago, you'd have never thought the Big 12 would have a strong presence in. I mean, even think the closest thing right now is West Virginia. But you start getting into that Big East territory, that basketball territory, the Big 12, I'm telling you guys, the Big 12 is onto something right now. And I believe right now UConn is in the short-term forecast, but I don't think it's crazy to say that long-term the Big 12 doesn't have its eyes set on schools like Syracuse and Villanova and whoever else in that area. And by establishing a brand and really getting connected with the community and getting the kids starting at a young age, which then you get to the families, you start to become a recognizable brand. They're on to something. Well, let me know what you think in the comments. I'm done for today. And those of you that are new to the channel who've recently been watching, first off, thank you. Welcome to the College Game Time family. Just know as we go into the weekend, typically what our flow is if there's some breaking news, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, like last Friday, the news broke about San Diego State notifying the Mountain West Conference. I obviously came up here and made a video about that. But it's more reactionary. I might get a film session up here, put some shorts up, something like that. But as far as the nightly stream, we will be back on this on Monday. So I hope you have a great weekend. Stay tuned to the channel for what content will come out over the weekend. I am doing 30 videos, not including shorts, in 30 days of June. And like I said, hit like and subscribe and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Peace.